everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the first ever BlueLine Wives Roll-call podcast. We are live at L.E.P.D. Firearms and Range this morning. So, I am Jamie Wright of Wright Dalbo Insurance, and I am joined by my fellow BlueLine Wives, Shannon Gilbert of Emerge Real Estate and Amy Lewis of Priority Mortgage. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Together, we are your BlueLine Group, a dedicated team of law enforcement families specializing in real estate, financial, and insurance services. Fervent about creating ongoing professional relationships and giving back to our first responder families. So aside from our financial services, first and foremost, we are all police wives.
Yay.
And we each bring, I think, a different perspective into the LE lifestyle.
Totally.
Our marriages, our children, our family, our friends, our financial and our social lives. And if you are listening along, you are probably the spouse of a first responder as well.
Or hopefully first responders. We want you to listen too.
That too, but
We're going to help you
today
relate.
and beyond, we want to bring you some serious and some seriously funny girl talk. So, I have to say, I'm the rookie here. I married my husband after he was on CPD for over 10 years. So, I didn't have to suffer through the academy days and the second shift and the welcomed overtime and the 3 special duty jobs.
It's all the fun stuff, huh?
All of that super attractive stuff in the early days, especially too, all while raising a family. So, as a matter of fact, funny story. When I first started dating my husband, I have a girlfriend who went through the academy with her husband, and went through the early days with him. And I was kind of there too. We were neighbors, so coincidentally we live really close again. But anywho, she says to me, "So how do you like the lifestyle?" And I was like, "What's she talking about?" And of course I was like, "Oh, it's great!" But I had no idea really what she was talking about at first.
But you quickly learned.
Quickly learned
Oh my, were you surprised?
just what she meant.
You called her one day like, I totally get it now.
Oh yeah. We've had conversations about it since then. So my husband was on evening midwatch on the hilltop at the time, and I just remember I would sleep in like 60-minute increments, and I would challenge myself not to look at my phone. But every day when I heard that garage door go up, it was like,
Or the vest with the Velcro.
Yep. I could sleep. Of course, he was coming home in the morning, and I was going, so we were passing ships in the night. But
that last hour of you sleeping when you came home was probably the best sleep ever.
oh yeah, because he was home, and even if he was like, I was like, oh, he's home.
Oh, newlywed bliss.
I love him.
That's right. How long is that still going on?
Yeah,
Do
girl.
you still?
Yeah.
So you're still in the same
Still-
room, right?
Yes. I'm super in love with him.
Still in the honeymoon
But
phase.
but I will say that regardless of the time that I had put in, this huge family welcomed me in with open arms from day one. Law enforcement officers and the wives alike. So, that was just the beginning of understanding and learning that we're all a big family.
And we're in this together.
Yeah, and we are. We're in this together. I think in the first 3 months that we were even dating, I think we lost 2 guys. So it was really challenging and hard to figure out, how to learn and cope and deal with that. Because, the way that I process things was totally different than the way that he would or anybody in law enforcement. So that was something that I had to learn as well. But
Or even if he was willing to talk about it.
Right.
Because a lot of times they're not willing to talk about it.
right, yeah. So a whole bunch of things I had to learn right away. But
And going to a stranger's funeral, it's things you don't think about. When you're a civilian or
Oh,
you're
yeah.
living a normal life, you don't think about going to a stranger's funeral. Yeah, you may see it. You may feel really bad. You may stand in line on the streets, but actually going and sitting and being part of it is a different feeling whether you know that person or not.
Oh, especially too the first time that I went to a memorial. Just the horses and the the salute and the helicopters, and I mean just all of it. It was just super emotional to kind of learn that that's a part of our life now.
Yeah. Then Blue Line.
That's right. Now, I do know that Amy has a totally different perspective.
I do,
because
quite different.
you have been in this family for, what, almost 20 years or beyond?
So my husband and I have been together for 23 years, believe it or not.
That's amazing.
Woohoo!
Yes. So we dated for 2 years and then got married in 1997. Thus began, well, backtracking a little bit, my husband was in the military. He was in the Army. So once he came out, I met him at a job. And then as soon as we knew.
At a job that you guys were both working at?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Elaborate on that story? I mean, we want to hear.
I won't tell you the details, but
Come on.
this is a PG show. It's a family show, right? So
Oh.
we,
No, we'll have to talk about this later.
No, we want to hear.
yeah, so I was in college. I had a job related to my career field that I wanted to go into. Coincidentally, my degree is in criminology. So, surprise.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did not.
My degree is in criminology. So,
From the Ohio State University.
the Ohio State University. Go Buckeyes.
Yeah.
So I met him at a job that I had that was related to that. It was kind of a work study, but then it was a real job too. So I had worked at the Limited in their security department, and I was doing that while I was in school because it allowed me part-time and so forth. And after my husband got out of the military, he needed a job to get himself going before he could start applying to departments. And we all know how long it takes to get onto a department. So I met him there, and I'll just be brief with this story. But
So when you met him, he was not in uniform.
no, he was not. But he did have a part-time job with a local department while he was trying to get on full-time. So and then he.
So you're
he
not
was
a badge bunny or anything.
No, this is all legit.
That'll be
people.
a show for a
Like-
different day.
Like I willingly chose this life, not knowing what I was getting myself into, just because I truly, truly fell in love with this guy. Don't ask me why. And if he hears this, he's going to hold this over my head. So.
He's like, do you remember that day on that podcast?
Yes,
You said you
yes.
were totally in love with me.
You know he's going to record this and play this back. It's going to be on a reel. It's going to be on our house. Remember this day. So I met him. I actually was dating someone at the time, and he came up, and I thought, this guy, he's like full of himself. He was like this big hunky guy, you know, because his shoulders are this big. And I thought, yeah, I'm not interested in this guy. He thinks a lot of himself.
No,
Really?
thanks.
Yes. Yeah, my first impression of my husband was not a good one. And he knows that. He said, this is no secret. He knows that.
So it's safe to say you didn't feed his ego.
I did not. I was not impressed with him at all. I wasn't.
She set the stage.
So he just kept wearing me down. And he'd come and talk to me all the time. And then he was like, you know, I had this boyfriend. He was like, so what's this guy like? And so anyway, long story short, we ended up dating. And it was like, you know, this guy's pretty cool.
I mean,
He's okay.
heck yeah. Like, he worked hard to get you.
He did work really hard, and I remind him of that all the time, and how lucky he is because he did work so hard. But so that was mid-90s. So we finally got married in 97, and then so he was in the middle of, he was working part-time at another department, and he was working his part-time job, and so we get married. He's going through applying at all different departments around the city and going through all the processes, and you know they take so long. And it was so difficult for us because you'd get one where maybe it was something really ridiculous that you don't pass, or they didn't like something that you answered even though you were honest, or there were so many ridiculous things. And that in itself is something that I experienced that I think is different from what maybe a lot of the
So
other wives
to
have
set the
already
viewers
experienced.
up, you were just dating at this time, correct? Were you guys living together?
It was both. We were dating, and then we got married in the process.
Okay.
Before he got on Columbus full time.
Okay.
So still working part time. So he was still an officer, but he was third shift. I was first shift by the time I had graduated college, and then I was first shift, and then I was getting my big girl job, and so things were changing then. So in between, we were doing all of this while he was applying at different places, and those processes take 2 years at least to get through. So he wouldn't just apply at one, go through it, and then be done. He would apply every time a department had something. He would apply at every one of them and still be going through all the processes with everybody. So we decided to get married, 96, and then we got married in 97. So a year long, we're still doing all of this and taking care of what needs to be taken care of. And he was halfway through the process of Columbus when the time we got married. A year later, he got on full time. And that's when the academy started, is exactly a year later from the day we got married.
Wow.
So needless to say,
Lots of challenges.
We didn't have a honeymoon.
Yeah.
Because he was testing, so we couldn't go anywhere. So we didn't have a honeymoon.
Did he make up for it?
Since then, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, it's been 20 years. He had a lot of time to make up for it. So, yeah, then getting on and then going through the academy, and that was a totally different experience because then it was, instead of being second and third shift, he was first shift for the academy, and he was getting up really early. And I remember he had to wear these bright yellow sweats every day with his name on the back, and he had to run from his car into the academy, and that was when the academy was at the old place where the horse barn is now. And I remember him just telling me stories. And then they had to do the boxing. And then they had to do the stunning and the mace.
The mace.
So I went through all of this with him. Meanwhile, we didn't have kids, which was a good thing because I was working and he was doing that. And so I would help him study with things. So that's a little different perspective of going through that and what he had to go through to get through the academy. And then we started with, okay, now he's on third shift.
Yeah.
And he did that for a long time, and then we started having kids. Probably about 6 years later, we waited for a while to have kids, just so we
being
could
on
get
third
through all
shift,
that.
were you able to sleep?
Here's something that I think is very different about me that I don't think a lot of people experience. I never had problems sleeping because I don't know if I just knew him so well and I was there from the beginning. But what has always helped me, not only is my faith in God, because I just know that He has a plan and that's what it is, and I can't change that. So I rest easy knowing that there is a plan out there and I can't do anything about it. So that actually gives me a lot of peace. But something that has always gotten me through this, and He's going to hold this over me again too.
You're 2 for 2 today.
I know. I'm not doing very well. This is not about me. He's winning. I'm losing. I have 120, 50, 180% in my husband's ability to do his job.
Absolutely.
I have always been so confident and so comfortable, and I never worry about knowing that my husband is going to make the right decisions, and he's going to do what he needs to do to keep himself safe at the same time that he's keeping the public and the other officers safe. I've never doubted his ability. But again, he was an MP in the military. He's done this since he was 18, and I won't tell you his age now, but he's halfway through his lifespan. But anyway, that is what has gotten me through all this time. And I think that's my experience is a little different because our marriage made it through all of these things, the second shift, the third shift, the coachings, the special duty, like you mentioned, Jamie, because I mean, there were times he would work his second shift and then he would go work his special duty Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Sundays, but sometimes Thursdays too. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, possibly until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So I didn't have a choice.
Well, my husband always used to tell me, you can't have both worlds. You can't have me home and the money that special duty pays.
Yeah, that's true. And the benefits that come with it, like, let's be honest, we use that money to go on vacations,
Christmas,
fix up our house, fix our cars, whatever we need to do. I mean, that's our extra money. That's not what we live on because, as we know, law enforcement doesn't pay the way that it should, considering the sacrifices that our spouses make. So that's a little different perspective of what I had to go through and that we still made it through everything. Now, I'm not saying it's easy by any means, but
it's a challenge.
But that has been my 20-year story, and I don't have problems sleeping at night, and I never have. Now, I will say that as I've gotten a little older and things have changed.
Yeah, things have changed. I was going to say, things were a lot different, 20 years ago.
You know, he's not the same person that he used to be. He's been through a lot of different experiences. Now there's sometimes when I think he's supposed to be home and I happen to wake up and he's not home. Like, okay, where are you? Now, backtrack. So many years ago, he had a pager when we first started.
Hey.
911, call me now.
588-U. Love you.
Oh, 143.
Signature line. Yeah, 143. My number was 21, so everybody knew when I was paging them.
Yeah. So we had a pager starting out. So let me tell you, that was scary. When the nights when I knew he was supposed to be home and he wasn't home, he didn't have a cell phone to call me.
Right. Yeah. You know, I didn't even think about that.
And, you know, it's not like he can stop by a payphone.
Right. So,
right. Did you put a 911 at your 16B?
16B.
Yes, your 16B needs you to call it out. So that was a real struggle back in my time because not knowing where he was, especially when he was working some of the areas that I really wasn't thrilled about him working. But of course, I always kept in the back of my mind, I know he's going to do the best thing. I know his buddy's got his back, But when they didn't answer the page and they didn't call you back and you're waiting by the phone and you cannot close your eyes until the phone rings back when we had landlines.
'Cause we always think the worst too.
Yeah. Well, of course you do. And, then you turn on the news.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
There's something going on.
That's your first mistake.
Well, I did if he wouldn't call me because is there something going on? And I would check to see if there was like a news blip or something.
I used to do that.
So did you know any other wives on his shift where you would call even them to see?
I didn't do that because I didn't want to worry about waking them up and saying, your husband's not home.
Well, then we'll take
and then making it worse.
You didn't want them to know that you were crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll take the 16B away.
I did say 16B, yes. Yes. I did say that, yeah.
You no longer have that title.
So, yeah, it was... I didn't do that, but that was strategic on my part.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that didn't happen because there were a couple times when we knew that our husbands were together and we were friends, and there was probably two particular women that we would kind of call each other, like knowing that they're not home, but also knowing that they're partners too, and that they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we would because then it would
your
be
support.
like it was very much then. But if it was in the middle of the night, my husband was special. I didn't call anybody else's wife because not knowing where their husband was, and maybe they were sleeping good. You got to take that when you can get it. So,
Especially with the kids.
That's right.
God bless us.
Yeah.
yes. Jamie said she's a 60-second sleeper, not a 60-minute sleeper.
60 seconds.
Increments.
Increments, yeah.
But Shannon has a totally different
yeah.
perspective, and I know mine was a lot of stuff, but you have a totally different perspective because you kind of did a dual role for a while.
Yes. So Jim, he started working for CPD in 1996, and we didn't marry until 2005. So when we got married, he was working third shift. And throughout our marriage, like he just kept going up. He then became the FOP president of FOP 9, and then he became a deputy chief for Franklin County. So it's completely different. I'm going to have stories that would take hours, not just
She
a half an
does.
hour.
She's not kidding.
Were you married when he was the FOP president?
So when we first got married, he was just an officer
Okay.
on the street working third shift. He became the FOP president during our marriage.
Okay.
And the funny story is I had no clue he was running. No clue. So we happened to be at like some function, and this lady comes up to me, and she's like, "Oh, your husband's going to make a great president." I'm like, "Excuse me?" If he knows what you're saying, he's like, "Honey, there's something I need to talk to you about." And that's how I found out he was even going to run.
So tell me a little bit about how your life was different from third shift and then going to the FOP president. I mean, that had to have been a huge change for you and your family.
It was
and then your son being born, too.
That is correct. Jimmy was born in 2005. We got married first.
Of course you did. We all did.
Anyway, so yes, he would be on call 24/7. I mean, he is on call now. So in the middle of the night, he would get phone calls. I know like two Mother's Day right in a row, he got a call for an officer involved shooting.
2 Mother's Days in a row. I think someone was plotting against you.
I think so. I was like, can you tell them to call off work next Mother's Day?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a total different life when your husband is the president and he's representing 28 agencies.
Yeah.
So, and never home. I used to go to family events, and they'd be like, "Are you sure you're married?" And I'm like, I swear I'm married. He's just not here.
He must have been gone all the time.
He was gone a lot. So basically, I was raising 4 children as a single mom with my bills paid. That's what I used to tell him.
That's what you used to tell Jim?
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, I know, poor Jim.
I tell the moms at school I'm a married single mom because no one ever meets my husband. I'm a married single mom. They don't realize he exists. So you're probably the same way, but he was probably gone a lot more because you never knew what shift it was going to be, which to me thinks that would be a huge challenge for you trying to get your family on a schedule.
Yeah.
When is he
Honestly,
sleeping? When is he awake?
It wasn't that bad after I got used to it, honestly. I just had my own routine. Unfortunately, he really wasn't in that routine. So kind of like when he was on vacation, he was kind of like messing with my territory, because it would mess everything up.
I hear a lot of police wives say the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is my bubble. This is what we do as a family. This is how we operate. Anything outside of that.
It's almost like they're a stranger.
Accommodating.
Yeah, even though they're your
Yeah.
husband.
Don't you guys find it hard when they take a weekend day off? Like it's a weekend and they take a Saturday or Sunday off?
No.
And you're used to.
I'm like, yes.
No,
God.
no,
Listen.
because me and my kids have a routine. So if my husband takes a Saturday off, I mean, we've gotten used to it now, but he takes a Saturday off. I'm like, you're in our way. This is what we do on
Right, right.
Saturdays. And he's like, but I'm home. You have to spend time with me. This is me. I'm like, it's too difficult. Now, he's off a lot more on
Like,
the
you're in
weekends
my
now
territory
than-
right now.
Yeah, yeah. It is like that. He's off a lot more on the weekends now that he's, been on over 20 years. So we've grown accustomed to it. But I remember when he was little, when the kids were little, if he would take a day off and we didn't have something planned, I should specify that. We didn't have something particular planned, but he would be stepping in my way, and it was difficult.
Well, Jamie was just telling me a story the other day
Which one? Oh, no.
that on the weekends, Eddie is not home.
Yeah.
So she's like, I have to
He
be a
works.
mother of 2 children. I have to, parent a dog.
Yeah, girl, I got a dog now.
I'm like, Jamie.
That's your
I got
4th
a
child,
dog.
right?
I'm like, Jamie, a lot of times your law enforcement wives, most of the time, stay at home. So I'm like myself back then, I was raising 4 kids. I'm like, I did this every day, girl. I'm like, and you poor Jamie's like 2 days. I can't take it anymore.
I can't. So, well, okay.
But your kids are little. Tell us about your family, though.
Give me
Yours
some
is
credit,
different.
though.
Of course.
So, I do have a 6-year-old, and then I have an almost 8-month-old. So, who is not sleeping through the night yet.
Didn't sleep last night.
Didn't sleep last night. God bless my mother-in-law for being there. So it is very challenging when, they're not on a schedule. You have to work around a baby's sleep schedule, right? So you have your 6-year-old who wants to, mommy, 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 mommy. And then the baby who's, a baby. So it is really, really hard to do all of that. And then you got to do laundry, and you got to, clean the house, and you got to prepare
Cook,
meals, and, all of that as well.
Change diapers.
I changed, lots of that.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Unexpected
super,
bath time.
yeah. Oh, that happens like 3 times a week. But I mean, I'm very fortunate and lucky that my husband contributes to the household like tenfold more than me a lot of times. Just because I am like crazy busy, with the agency and different events. And just being and I've said this before too, and he tells me this all the time, like during the day when you wake up to the time you go to sleep, how many hats do us wives have to wear?
Right.
I mean, we're professionals, we're moms, we're wives, we're friends, we're sisters, we're
teachers,
daughters.
yeah.
So
Counselors.
I mean, and it's just constantly like flipping back and forth. So
Don't forget the taxi.
the taxi,
Oh,
definitely
the
the
taxi.
taxi. Yeah, I got to get my oil changed. Seriously, my light keeps coming on. But so yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenge to juggle all, and that's not just in the police wife
That's
life. That's
everyday marriage.
Everyday marriage. That's whatever you do. And shout out to all the stay-at-home moms out there. Could not do it.
That's why I'm a 16B now.
Could not do that. So, and I mean, obviously we're here to talk about all that too. And then on top of that, the complexity of being married to a police officer as well. So, but I mean, that I love my life and I enjoy my family as much as possible. So when he takes off, I'm like,
So I have a question. Your friend, are they stiwant married?
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
How long
yeah.
have they been married?
I don't know exactly, but I want to say I met them in 2000 and
I mean, at this point, just make up a date.
2010. So I'll have to
For
verify
your
with her
listening
later and let you know.
Yeah.
But they were married prior to him even applying for the academy. So, but they have a very strong marriage now too.
Yeah.
So she's very supportive of his career.
I mean, as a wife, you have to be supportive. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to be a strong individual to even be married into law
oh,
enforcement.
absolutely.
The one thing I always point out when anybody talks to me about being married to an officer, or they're thinking about, maybe they're dating or whatever, and you talk about the relationship that you have with your officer, and I see a lot of the young girls like, oh, I'm getting ready to get married. And I thought, girl, first of all, I say, I don't know. You don't know what you're getting into.
Right.
You
Second
don't.
of all,
Do you want
I
to come and
s-
stay at my house for a week?
I know. Yeah. Second of all, I think to myself, I could not have survived this if I was not an independent person. And I am the type of person where I don't know if maybe you want to call me a control freak, but
You already have the 16B title.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we've established all of that between us. I have just always, if something needs to be done, I pick it up and I do it, and I never think twice about it, and I don't ask him for help. Like, there's not things that if I need the ladder out and I need to climb on the ladder and do something, I just go get it. I don't
take
think
charge
twice
of the
about
situation.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. The other day,
Isn't
it's
that
like,
most females?
You have to. You would hope so, but. You have to be able to be on your own and be independent and be strong to be a police
Absolutely.
wife or a
And
first
adaptable.
responder wife at all.
Because
You
if something
think-
breaks down in your house, you can't wait for them to come home.
Yeah, if they're working 3 days straight and
Right.
your furnace goes out, girl, you better figure out how to light
That's
that
right.
pilot, how to
How to
clean.
light that pilot. Do they
Welcome-
do that still?
Yeah. Welcome to YouTube.
Yes, yeah.
Welcome to YouTube.
Unclog that drain
That's
in your
right.
bathtub if it's not draining. I mean, you got to learn how to do all of
That's
this
right.
stuff. And thankfully, I have an awesome dad who's really handy, so I just call him up. He lives far away, but I just call up my dad. I'm like, Dad, can you help me how to fix this?
Yeah.
Jumping car batteries. I do all of that. Mowing the grass. I do all of that because I don't know when he's coming or going. So,
Yeah.
and I think that the one piece of advice that I would give to anybody who's thinking about marrying their boyfriend or girlfriend that might be in law enforcement is if you can't handle being by yourself and taking care of things yourself, then think twice and have a long
Absolutely.
conversation before you go through this. Because I think 3 of us are all living specimens of hard work, independence, and being
Well, it
able to
boils
live
down
in chaos.
to be, you can't be needy.
Right.
Because if you're needy, it's just not going to work.
You can't call your husband up in the middle of a run and say, I really miss you. Can you take a break?
I mean,
That
I have my
doesn't work.
days. I have my days.
But you can't do it, and you get over it. You kind of bring yourself back down to reality. You know that.
Oh, well, the other day, I full discretion here, I had a moment, and I was texting him, and I'm texting my thoughts, like, just transparently. I'm like, I don't know why I'm texting this right now. Well, you're at work, and you're probably driving right now, and, I went on and on. I sent it, like, because I wanted him to know, like, I'm actually thinking that I probably shouldn't send this to you.
But I'm going to anyway.
But I did anyway. I mean, it happens. We
and you
all
took
have
the
our
time
days.
to type it out that you knew you shouldn't
Yes.
be sending.
How
That
many
was the
times
thoughtfulness, right?
did you ever call and you could hear the sirens in the background, and
Yeah.
they're like, I gotta call you back later, and then they hang up. Like, what? Don't even answer.
Or if you call them a half hour later because you're worried and they don't answer
Yeah.
and they don't call you back, and you're like, oh, great. What's
Right.
going on now?
Yeah.
It's killing me.
Yeah. Yeah. We should have like a code or something, like where he could text me, like everything's okay, or a little code because yeah.
Yes. Back in the pager days, he could have just sent me I'm okay.
Yeah. But he
or
probably
a,
didn't.
or a 143,
143. 588-8. Love you.
Oh my gosh.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for doing this with me today. I had so much fun. Thank you to L.E.P.D. Firearms and Range for hosting us today.
Yep.
Thank you to everyone for listening to our podcast. Join us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Yes, we want to hear from you.
Yes, please bring your questions. Next week, we will touch on our most favorite things and our least favorite things about being married.
So maybe
to a
that we
police
can have
officer.
wives maybe send us a message on Facebook
Yeah.
or Twitter and let
Or-
us know their favorite and least things.
Yeah, absolutely. And email us, bluelinegroupofohio@gmail.com. Let us know, your favorite and least favorite things, and we will discuss them on air next Thursday at 10 a.m.
Yes.
And don't forget to stop by L.E.P.D. on Bethel Road.
And I was going to say,
Hey.
yes, they there's a shirt
all of
here.
your law enforcement needs.
You
and
can see the shirt here. They sell the Live PD shirts. Get them for your Live PD watch party this Saturday. L.E.P.D. is located off of Bethel Road.
Yep. So until next time, BlueLine Wives Roll-call signing up.